It was a first-round playoff victory and a hard-earned one for the Waukon Indians last Friday night as they knocked off West Liberty. And Coach Chad Beermann joining us. And Coach, you told us about it. West Liberty has kind of been giant killers over the last couple of playoff series, and they played you pretty well and forced you to come from behind and get the victory. But your kids were able to do it. Fair synopsis?
Yeah, we really kind of dug ourselves a hole with turnovers. I mean, their first points were on a field goal. We turned the ball over basically inside our 20, and defense was able to hold them out, and then they kicked field goal. And then, we had another fumble inside our 40 that they turned into points at just after the second quarter started. So we were down 10-0. We got 2 scores right away in the second quarter to go up 15-10. Go to halftime with that. The first play of the second half, they flanked that. They've got that stud tailback, and they put him out as a flanker and sent him down the field. And 70 yards later, he's in the end zone with a touchdown reception. And so, yeah, we kept fighting back and got every time I think we would get comfortable, we'd turn the ball over. We had 4 fumbles and 2 interceptions. So we just couldn't ever get away from them, couldn't get comfortable, couldn't get in control of the ball game, and finally we got the 2-score lead, 2-point conversion to make it 14, and then we got a stop there, and then we're able to run off the clock. It was a fight the whole way through.
Was it as simple as just having some possessions that you finally hung onto the ball? Is that the reason you were able to come back?
Well, I think so. I mean, we had an offensive, or we turned the ball over driving inside the 10 too, and I had a couple of drives that we had. Our first offensive series of the game, I guess we turned the ball over at about their 40-yard line, where we just screwed up the handoff, dropped the ball, and they fell on it. So we just couldn't get out of our own way for a lot of the game, and then we finally did. I mean, our offensive line did an outstanding job blocking, and obviously, if you look at the stats, Pat Hennessy had 40 carries for 350 yards. We had to, because of injuries, we had to use Lincoln a little more blocking, and he got a few carries and touches. And we didn't throw the ball a whole lot because we could grind away at him with the off-tackle run stuff. And the line just played really well all night long.
And when you have a game like this and you were able to survive and advance like you did here in the postseason, is that a little bit of a good thing as you head into practice this week, so you can send the message that, hey, you know what, if that happens again, our season's probably done?
We have, but it's just been sort of a recurring theme that for this season that we keep stressing to the guys that we don't even know how good we could be if we could just get out of our own way, if we could stop with the penalties and stop with the turnovers. And we've been able to survive it, but you don't win many games with 6 turnovers. So we got a few in the second half. We got a fumble recovery and a couple interceptions that really helped us out. But you can't dig a hole like that, especially the further on you go with the better teams you play, and your season will be over if you want to hand another team the ball.
But you mentioned Pat Hennessy with the 350-yard night in your offensive line, really plowing the way. Were those the main 2 positives you took away from last Friday night?
I thought so, and the defense did a fairly good job against that Galvin kid. Is really good, and we held him to about just under 140 yards rushing. I think they haven't put their stats up, but that's about what we had him for. And the kid probably had 40 tackles in the game too. They played him kind of as a safety and just adjusted him. They put him wherever they needed. So to handle a kid with that much talent, basically that's kind of what we were doing with just hammering away with the running game. And so we got some picks later and really kept the option game in check, which is something we were concerned about too. So we played pretty well defensively, especially the holes we dug ourselves in with giving the ball to them in scoring position.
And Comanche is the team that comes to town this Friday night. What have you been able to find out about them?
Well, they were in the state semifinals last year. They got beat by Central Lyon. They're the other bracket from us, but they've got a history of success in the playoffs. They've got pretty diverse offense, a lot of spread sets, and pretty solid running back, but a good quarterback, a couple good receivers. One kid that specializes kind of in the shorter routes, breaking stuff out, and then one kid that's more of a deep threat. And so we'll have our hands full there. And then defensively, they've played pretty well on defense. They played Wahlert last week, and Wahlert scored the first 2 drives, and then they sort of adjusted and kind of took away a lot of stuff that Wahlert was doing. So I think we'll have our hands full again this week.
All right, Coach, hopefully you can clean up the mistakes and survive and advance once again and move on to the quarterfinals next week. We wish you best of luck.
Thank you.
Chad Beermann, head coach of the Waukon Indians. It's the Waukon Indians and the Comanche Indians this Friday night.